So, hello, good morning, everybody, and thank you a lot for joining us on this webinar. My name is Primož Skrt, and today, together with Sandra and Gabriela, we are all partners in DANUBE4all projects that we will hear a bit more about it in a while. We are starting this webinar, and it's actually the start of the process. The aim is to set the first step towards the creation of regional Danube Water Museum network. As you will see, this is a part of existing network, the Global Water Museum Network, but also the webinar will allow us to promote and interlink existing exhibition and exchange educational materials about Danube. So we are working all in the Danube River Basin. We are all working with the rivers, and the DANUBE4all project is actually establishing restoration plan for the Danube River with the huge importance of citizens. And we also recognized museums and exhibitions in the Danube Basin as an important actors in this process. And today's webinar is just the start of this process, so we'll present you a bit the idea behind the project and also the activities we want to implement in the next few years. So, and as you will see, your contribution, your involvement in it is crucial for our success, but we also, of course, we believe that you can very much benefit in participating in it. Without further details, we have prepared agenda. As you've seen, the idea was to start with our colleague Helmut Haversack, who is a representative of the lead partner of DANUBE4all project. But if I understood correctly, he's still not with us, so maybe we will give him the floor a bit later. And the next points are the presentation of Water Museum Network will be done by Mr. Eriberto Eulisse, the director of Water Museum Network, and his presentation will be followed by brief input about exhibitions in Danube River Basin done by Gabriela Costea, and last but not least, Sandra will present us the role and importance of citizen science in river restoration. We have quite some time. We'll have some activities, some questions for you during the webinar, but also if in the course of the webinar you have any questions, doubts, just raise your hand, unmute yourself, post questions in the chat. And as I said initially, the whole webinar is being recorded, and also the recording and all the presentations will be available for you, for your colleagues to be shared, but also for those who cannot be here with us. Okay, so Sandra, I would just kindly ask you for information if we start with Helmut, or we give floor first to Eriberto.
Yes, this is a very good question. He just told me that he will join now, but I don't know how fast now is. Perhaps I find it a bit hard because he would be here by now. But we could, of course, also start with Eriberto. I think that might be just better. Sorry for the inconvenience, everybody.
But I think it's fine. It's a general input anyhow. So, Eriberto, hi, good morning. First of all, huge thanks. So you can be with us, and yeah, the floor is yours. So thank you for your.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation, Primož and Sandra. Thank you. I would like to share with you a short presentation about the global network of water museums and what are the possible opportunities to interact with the DANUBE4all project. I know that the time allocated for my presentation is quite short, so I would like to start now by sharing my screen. Oops. So as you understood, the global network of water museums is quite a new network that is also a part of the UNESCO family, UNESCO water family. It is indeed a flagship initiative, and I hope that with this input and this contribution, it will be possible to collaborate with you, and we are ready also to foster citizen science contributions for resilient and socially fair river landscapes, also contributing to create, if possible, a network of water museums along the Danube region. That is an interesting concept because, you know, we are not, commonly speaking, used to think about territory in terms of rivers. So having a network of water museums along a basin, such as the Danube Basin, could be a very innovative and interesting contribution to the global network of water museums. Because we have also some regional small networks in China, in other continents, but so far we don't have any river network of water museums. But let's make a step behind to 2018, when this global network was formally endorsed by UNESCO IHP. IHP, that is the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program. I think you know what is this program about, mainly focusing on freshwater ecosystems. And for the first time, what was innovative in this resolution of UNESCO IHP was for the first time acknowledging and recognizing also the role of cultural perspectives and educational perspectives within this science program of UNESCO. So in our statute, we commit with all our members to build what we call a new culture of water. A new culture of water in which we try to emphasize how it is important to reinstate a new relationship between individuals, between people and water, that is also between people and the river. This sense of civilization should include water in all its dimension. That's what we stress in our charter. Not only scientific and technical approaches are needed to build a new water culture, but also we have to take into account social, cultural, artistic, and also spiritual dimensions and expressions related to rivers. So basically, what we are sharing with all our partners is what we call a paradigm shift from the prevalent cultural paradigm of dominion over nature to one of ecosystem sustainability. And these drawings that you are seeing in this picture are drawings produced by water museums. We share with them many projects and perspectives, also a youth competition, a drawing youth competition, which is a very interesting, I would say, tool to enable young generation to express their ideas. Well, with this approach, we have been growing during the last 5 years in spite of COVID, and we have now more than 90 members indeed. We have 10 members that joined very recently, and these members are not equally distributed in different continents and regions. You can see that there is a bigger concentration in Europe. More than 50 water museums are concentrated in Europe. I would also like to recall that we have different types of museums. We have a natural science museum, we have a science museum, archaeological museums, history museums, very different types of museums. So not all of them have the label water museum outside the door, but the reason they decided to join our network is because they share our ethical mission, and they share also activities with other partners of our network. Also, I would like to point out that both natural and cultural heritage are the focus of the museums that are members of the global network. Very often it is difficult to separate between natural and cultural, what people or what we tend to see as natural, like the picture on the bottom, on the right bottom, which is the Po Delta, the Po Delta River, seems to be kind of natural landscape, at least for most of people that look at this beautiful picture, they say that's a natural landscape. But indeed, it's a kind of artificial or cultural landscape, quite old waterscape built since Roman times. And these are the so-called fishing valleys. But it's a nice way to combine also biodiversity and the natural river flows without compromising with too many artificial interventions. Okay, I would like, I think I have only 2 minutes left. I would like to remind that after the first resolution of 2018, there was also another resolution dedicated to the global network of water museums. So the Intergovernmental Council of UNESCO IHP in 2021 also endorsed a resolution to make an inventory of water museums, not only water museums, because we know that with this definition, it's we have a much broader, larger approach than considering only four-wall museums. And so we include also different categories of museums: open-air museums, eco-museums, community-based museums, but also landscapes or riverscapes are also included. With this world inventory, we started to develop a methodology to include also the heritage of water as a landscape. And for the most important ones, we are trying to foster the idea and the need of creating interpretive centers, visitor centers that enable people to understand what we can't see when we are looking at the river, for example. So there are potential benefits for joining not only the global network of water museums, but I think also to create a regional network of water museums, interpretive centers along the Danube River. First of all, the possibility to disseminate fresh ideas and holistic approaches for future resilience planning, a planning that is very much trying to combine the needs of humans with the ones of the river and the protection of river ecosystems. Also, another important dimension is to focus on education, water awareness education, or river education. We can't protect the rivers if we can't protect the rivers if we don't know what rivers are and how do they function. So one of the main purposes, I would say, of creating even a small network of water museums and interpretive centers along the Danube would be exactly to involve both adults and young generations about and creating new program on water awareness education. Also, you, in case you are interested to cooperate with the global network of water museums, you can get empowered in communicating and targeting the SDGs by becoming a member. You have also limited use of our logo block, which includes the logo of UNESCO, and what you are contributing, what you are doing with this project could be also included as part of phase 9 of IHP. We are fully included in this strategic plan, which is IHP 9. We are part of 2 working groups, and so we are monitoring what our water museums, interpretive centers are doing for water education to contribute to the next phase of IHP. So I think that's enough for my 10 minutes of presentation. And if you have any questions, I'm here for the next 20 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Eriberto. Thank you a lot for this input. Yes, maybe any questions? First of all, if you have any questions, please, you can raise them now. Eriberto will need to leave later, so he will not stay with us until the end. But if you have any questions, just please unmute yourself or put them in the chat.
Primož, can you hear me?
Yes, Helmut, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to use the chance to welcome you all on behalf of the Danube4all project. But I just have to ask my colleagues to be a little bit more quiet. Sorry, I'm here in the meeting room. Sorry for this. Now it's better. So I want to welcome you to this very important meeting. From my point of view, I'm very aware of the situation in the UNESCO headquarters in Paris on the water museum activity. I think it's very nice, and I fully agree with what was said before on the importance of museums for, let's say, transferring the information on river management, on the river ecosystem, but also on the climate change induced risks. I think this is one of the key topics to get the consciousness of the people more to the focus of these hazards on the one side, but also on the biodiversity losses and so on. And we were in Danube4all from the beginning thinking how we can fulfill the mission. And the mission means that we have to include the population in the Danube River Basin, but also outside, and to get these points to the people. And we think all together in the project team that one way to do it is to do it on the one side with art. So we've also art ideas to reach the people with the stomach and to reach the people with emotions, and not only with facts from the scientific research. The question is, how can we now use the opportunity with the water museums in the Danube Basin and outside of the basin to present these topics in a nice way? And there's a lot of experience in the room here, in the digital room, how we can organize this. We as well here in Vienna in our new lab have a public lab installed, which is still empty. So we have 400 square meters with nothing in it. And we want really to take advantage from your knowledge, not saying that we want to have another modern museum in Vienna, but it's really a way where the ministry and the mayor of the city of Vienna is very interested. We have a meeting and opening next Monday on this, and the politicians will come, and we want to use the chance to get the information transferred to the people. So I would really personally also here like to get an let's say idea and input how to develop this, and there should be a different way. Actually, also to conclude soon, I think it is also important to say that the main idea of the European Union is within the Green Deal to enhance the restoration of rivers by saying it's also an economic interest, a green job interest. So we have to get forward with this. So we want to calculate how many euros can you earn as a company or however with doing restoration instead of regulation and building only infrastructure measures. And maybe hopefully the water museums can be an important piece here to get these things forward, to display what we find in our project, but not only to display it, but more to get the people in. Hopefully we can have also interactive chances. So I see 2 things or 3 things to finish off. First, it's a very good idea, thanks to Sandra and Primož, that they are organizing this event. It's very important, and we should get maybe a sort of process started where we work out kind of a concept paper, a short one, how we want to transfer I mean now the Danube4all project ideas into the museum idea, how we can link this, because I know without DANUBE4all also the museums will develop. And we also part of the 9th program. Sandra and me were very active in the 9th program development as well. So that's the one thing. And the second is what methods can be used in the museums to do it, Do we have digital options? Do we have analog systems? Do we have small flumes where the water is flowing? There are different options. We have not really found out how we should do it. And finally, I have a question as well to the colleague here. You mentioned nicely the different examples, and also you mentioned that there is an interest in the 9th program. I was also there in Paris when this resolution was accepted by the countries. So my question to you is, how would you see the concrete steps, for example, also towards a sort of concept node within the Danube Basin, how we should progress, how we should organize this? Maybe Sandra can also answer this question. So I want once more to welcome you. I'm really looking forward. It's a very nice action, and thanks to Primož and Sandra for the organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helmut. Thanks a lot for these words, representation about our project that started, actually just started in January, and we will be together for the next 5 years. So we have quite some time to initiate some processes and to tackle some challenges that you mentioned now. And as I said initially, today we are just starting this process, but we hope to be together with you and even in a bigger network and with more concrete activities, and at the end also results for the next few years. Eriberto, I think it was some questions. The question was for Eriberto, Helmut, or it was just a general comment?
Yes, but yeah.
Eriberto was question, yeah.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Helmut. Nice to see you here. So it's the first time that two flagships initiative also started to cooperate. So that's a very important step, I think. And as you said, I think the most important contribution within the DANUBE4all project, the most important contribution that was mentioned also by Helmut, is to transfer, to disseminate information to people. So that's the key point, the key contribution also that for which we may cooperate. So we have water museums that are already established, but we know how difficult it is to build, establish, and create new museums. But that's not the purpose. The main purpose for which we have been endorsed by UNESCO as well is water awareness education. That is to say, education about rivers in that case. And the most important part, the most important contribution, I think you have already a lot of experiences, good practices related to river restoration, for example. So how to disseminate, how to inform, how to involve people about the important projects that you have been doing, for example, during the last years or decades. In that sense, interpretive centers are a kind of instrument that is possible to consider and to use, that need also a small investment, for example. Also, citizen science can contribute in that sense, having active citizens to create these opportunities. There are then also other opportunities in the environment through digital tools, that we can create itineraries, for example, of visit. We can use virtual reality. In our network, we have many experiences that we can also share. But don't think about water museums as huge, big buildings that we have to build or create in case they are not already existing. In case they are already existing, there are specific parts in these museums that focus already on water or river management. And the opportunity would be to cooperate with them together with the global network of water museums to foster, to strengthen water awareness education, to create, as it was mentioned at the beginning, also educational material for the Danube network of water museums and interpretive centers, that would be an interesting output of your project, I think. And that's also an output that we can host in our website, in our network, even after the end of the DANUBE4all project, which is, I guess, a 3 or 4 years project, as all European projects, they are going to finish sooner or later. But what is important is to keep the knowledge, the experience, and the information in more, maybe small, but more permanent centers in the local territory, where visitors, where people, where students can learn about past experiences, your experience on how to better manage water and the rivers.
Thank you very much. That was very good. I stay with you. I just turn off my video, but I stay with you in the meeting. Thank you very much for the explanation. Let's stay in touch. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. If there is no other questions, I would move forward and kindly give floor to our colleague Gabriela Costea, and she will present you actually some of the opportunities, existing opportunities, and also future activities that can be implemented in the river basin related to concrete exhibitions related to river. And yeah, Gabriela is also their partner in the DANUBE4all project, and she was involved in the preparation of this webinar, and she will be with us for the next few years and with you to guide you through these processes. Gabriela, you are here.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Great.
So I will start the sharing my presentation. Do you see now?
Yes, you can put presentation mode, but yes, you can.
Yeah.
We can share screen.
We'll.
Great.
Yes. Yeah. So my name is Gabriela Costea. I'm working to the Leibniz Institute for Freshwater Ecology and Inland Fisheries in Berlin. But before I came here in Berlin, I've been working for 16 years in a natural science museum complex, very new and modern, situated on the bank of the Danube, very close to the Danube Delta in Romania, in Galați. This is one of the reasons I welcome with enthusiasm the fact that in this Danube Lighthouse program, it is encouraged this support transdisciplinarity approaches, citizen involvement and educational activities, because are very important also for this project. Now, actually, for this presentation, I will try to give a response and to put together what Eriberto and Helmut has told us, how we could join network, water museum network with our project. And me, I will talking more about the exhibition, and Sandra after that about the citizen science. So based on my experience as a museum curator, I know very well the importance of the museum to inform and educate, but also to influence citizens' behavior towards nature. At the time when we are bombarded with a lot of information, many of them very different, and we have access to many sources of information, we could state that museums are trusted more than other media, because their expertise is generally respected and considered credible. And based on that, they can help people to make better decisions by stimulated curiosity and offering the necessary knowledge in a very nice and enjoyable way. This is the reason we consider that a museum network in DANUBE4all project, we could highly support this idea to make the knowledge about the importance of the protection of free-flowing rivers better accessible for the public and intelligible, because they are complex problem here. And also it is important to understand that vision to restore this type of habitat, which give a lot of benefits for the people as ecosystem services, because museums are this kind of learning platform, are available to everyone, and with this exhibition, educational activities, they could communicate, they could explain complex problems. So here you could see how visitors from all ages in this image are involved in learning opportunities in an exhibition from Miami, but we could find all around the world. I choose this picture because it's the river, and I like very much this idea. And you could see all category of visitors are involved with both, and with hearts and minds. And this is what we would like also to offer. As we look actually in how a museum evolved over the time, we could perceive that an evolutionary actually steps in these museums. First, they were only the objects, and after that they added exhibit interpretation and additional these visitor centers approaches. And now we see these community center approaches. The same is there in the science. At the beginning, the science was more focused limited group of people, to academia. After that, the science was moved toward to be more open, more visualized, communicate the science. And now, similarly, in DANUBE4all is designing a restoration plan for the Danube River with close involvement of civil society and considering actually the citizen interest. This is actually the way how we could link the museums and our project, because as all DANUBE4all project follow this co-creation and co-design approach, we would like to create this bridge between the project's goal of engaging the general public and the role of the museum today to be a platform of exchange, agents of change. And how we could do that, we propose building together a concept from Blue Danube Traveling Exhibition, which will give us the opportunity to share expertise, to learn from each other, experience, and also to facilitate the communication of the results of our project, DANUBE4all. And which will be the main step with, we emphasize for that process. At the first, we could begin with the identification of general thematic focus of the exhibition. After that, to see which institution will be willing to participate in the realization of the concept, or at least represent the location for this future traveling exhibition. After that, we would like to develop together this general concept for Blue Danube Traveling Exhibition, and in the next step to apply in a separate project for funding and realize the implementation of the exhibition, because in the DANUBE4all there are not foreseen money for the implementation. But this project represents the umbrella, the platform to collaborate together and to develop a traveling exhibition. So this will be our proposal, and these are some questions. We could start a discussion, but Primoz has already prepared an online questionnaire to get more interactive in this webinar. But also we would like to hear your proposal, your comments about that. So thank you very much. And I'm very curious about your feedback. Primoz, are you going to put the questionnaire now?
Yes, sorry, I was just putting the link in the chat and activating the survey. Thank you, Gabriela, for this presentation. So yeah, Gabriela presented just the first step, and as you have seen, there's another steps that are following, and today we are just initializing the process in order to understand not only your needs, but first of all also your wish, your motivation to be further engaged in it in order to make the concept of all this traveling exhibition, and eventually also, as Gabriela said, to find additional funds to implement such things. In the link I put in the chat, you need to, I hope it's working and I typed it well, otherwise let me know. But yeah, they're just two very brief questions in order to know your motivation, to engage them more. We are talking a lot about museums here, and the main target groups indeed are museums, because we wish to link river restoration aspects with museums, but also if you are a representative of natural park, visitor centers. So if you are in any way involved in any presentations that is focusing on the public, I think this is also you are also the right target groups for these activities. Good. So there are two questions.
You are mute, Primoz.
Sorry, I will share my screen to check the results. And okay, as you can see there, the first question is, would you or your institution be part of the co-creation and co-design team for the Blue Danube Travel Exhibition? So yeah, the question is quite self-explanatory, and the second one is also, it would be possible and there is interest in hosting the Blue Danube Traveling Exhibition after it will be elaborated. So the first one is more to be involved in the process, and the second one is more implementation oriented. We know that maybe the second one, yeah, we are still quite few steps to get there, but anyhow, it's about your interest, about your motivation, and think for next few seconds, and please provide your answers. Sorry.
And actually, it's one step towards what Eriberto has already told us, how we could collaborate. It's an opportunity to get together and also to get close with that network of the museum water.
Exactly. And sorry, because I deactivated the by mistake, but now it should work fine. The only thing is, I don't know why. Okay. So now it should work, the link, I think. So. Okay, so we received quite some answers for the first question, and
yeah, so the project will be this project DANUBE4all for 5 years. We planned to do this kind of concept in the first 2 years to see who will do it, and after it to apply for a project, and we still have time to implement during the project exhibition. This will be very nice because it's a long project, 5 years. So we hope and we are optimistic to have this time to implement during the DANUBE4all project, also our exhibition.
okay, I think most people answered already. So yeah,
we are happy with this feedback, especially they are not all the people we invited. Yeah, so we are happy for this feedback, for the very positive feedback. Thank you very much.
Great.
Excuse me, Primoz, can I ask something?
Of course.
I didn't raise my hand, but I saw that there is a space for questions. So regarding this question and let's say involvement in more detail, I would like to know actually, because from my point of view, it will be nice to engage some stakeholders that were invited to join us today. But as I can see, some of them are not here. So maybe some of them would like to be involved, but I cannot answer you now. So if you give us a little bit more time, then we can maybe reach them and see are they available for it. Because, for example, there are particular places in Serbia, they're working like a touristic opportunity, like offer to visit some castles beside the Danube River. Maybe it will be good for them as well to join in this kind of event, because as an Institute for Science, we can maybe reach them and then they will be more involved and more engaged in this issue.
Thank you very much. Of course, this is only the first announce
Okay.
about that, but we will get in contact with all the partners, everybody, because also we would like to see which experience we already prepared the questionnaire, what another exhibition they were organized, because they were organized another exhibition. We would like to see which exactly which niche is still free for our exhibition, and what will be the expectations from the public from exhibition. Yeah, especially we have also to communicate some results from our projects. Yeah, what is exactly about. So this is only the beginning, the first announcement. So thank you very much for this, and we will be we will be grateful to if you could promote this among your partners.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Mariana, and also as initially we said, like the whole presentations, the recording, will make it available on DANUBE4all website and social media. And after the webinar, we will write you a short email to all of you who participated with all relevant links, so you can easily disseminate it among wider network. And actually, that we would thank you for this. It's a great opportunity, and we are aware that we need to work together to build bigger and bigger network in order to be successful, because it's as you know, it's a Danube River Basin, it's a huge area, but we also have a lot of things in common. And by starting networking, discussing the things together, I think we can create a very, very nice story in the next few years. Good.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions?
Matej, I think it you would like
Matej
to.
Marušić, yes.
Please, Matej. Thank you.
You are mute, Matej. We don't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Better.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I'm here on behalf of Danube Parks, Danube River network of protected area. We have 20 members, 20 protected areas, and all of them have museums. And I'm sure that they will be interesting to join in some of these activities after we send them presentations and explain. But one interesting thing is that at the moment we already have one touring exhibition. It's exhibition about one Danube species, Tritus dobrogicus, Danube crested newt. This exhibition is called In the Empire of Danube Dragon. So we have some experience with this. We know how it works. So I would like to offer you our network. If you want to implement some activities, there is some know-how, some experience with this. So let's keep in touch and exchange some information about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matej. We know very well how many exhibitions and so strong is your network, especially with visitor centers, but also museums. They are included in your network, and yeah, we rely on your support. Thank you very much.
Good. If there is no other questions, I would move to the next part of our webinar and give floor to Sandra, our citizen science expert. Hi, Sandra.
Thank you very much, Primož. I will start with sharing my screen. Can you all hear me well?
Yes, Sandra.
Okay, perfect. Then by now you should see my screen, I think. Okay. Thank you very much. So happy to hear that there's already some networking starting, and that's exactly the intention, of course, the start of all this, to really collaborate over the next years. And as you already heard, there's a lot of potential. We see, of course, the museums themselves know best how much potential they have themselves for connecting to the communities, to the audience, to a wider public. And that is one way, of course, is to inform. But I think for me, it would be very important to know also how we can maybe activate them and mobilize them and help ask people to indeed join in river restoration. And one way to do that is via citizen science. I don't know, Primoz, if we could perhaps first do the first survey question that I have, because I would like to find out what the knowledge is of citizen science. Actually, we forgot that was actually, I needed to do that before the presentation. So that would actually be very convenient.
Yes, Sandra. Actually, you can use the same link that is in the chat. Just now I have activated another survey, and we would like, if you can click on the link, we would like to ask you, before Sandra continues, how much you are familiar with citizen science approach.
It gives me a bit of an impression how much I have to explain before I continue. If everybody's getting bored immediately, that would be not my intention. So thank you. I'm very curious what the results are. Primoz, will you share your screen so we can see the results?
Yes, in a second. Okay, you can see it now?
Yes. So there are quite some people that already know what it is, or even participated or joined projects, or even organized some, so that's great. Yes. Well, there's none, no, not at all. That's already saving me quite some work. Perfect. Perfect. Well, then this is as expected. That's very nice to see. Don't know if everybody already filled it in, but this quite gives me an impression. Thank you very much. Then I will now truly start with the presentation. Let me see. As has been already mentioned, yeah, we are all part of this DANUBE4all project. With PULSAQUA, I'm hoping to lead the citizen science endeavors mainly within the project. And in this presentation, I would therefore like to explain a bit how we envision that, or at least what we think are the opportunities and the possibilities. And these are, of course, still all free for change or other inputs. So let me start by explaining what I will talk about. First, I will still go a little bit into how I see citizen science. Then I would like to explain why, well, I think it would be interesting to use citizen science within museums as well. I will give some options and examples. I will also elaborate what I think could be the role of a museum within the citizen science endeavors. And last but not least, how we can help, because of course this is a collaboration. So I think there is a very interesting role we can fulfill within the next 4 to 5 years. Yeah, so first of all, citizen science, I really liked this picture where you can see that the scientist is sort of rowing the boat on its own, and there are a lot of citizens that can help to give a hand. This is, of course, only one way of elaborating citizen science, because it can also be vice versa, that the citizens have a lot of paddles and they just need scientists to give them the boat. So the collaboration is from both sides, and the need can come from one or the other, or even from other stakeholders. So it's, I think, very important to realize that it's an active role for any stakeholder to create new knowledge together using scientific methods. For me, that's the main purpose of citizen science, main way of looking at it. But there are many definitions, and I won't decide whether one or the other is better, but this is how I look at it myself. And I think many people choose for citizen science methodology, so it's a research methodology, because it can give not just more options for research, for more data collection, for example, or perhaps observations in locations where only private citizens can come, for example, but it can also give many ways to education, both in the formal education as in the informal one. And maybe even more important is that it can deliver quite some societal impact. Many think, for example, on awareness raising, but also advocacy. There's a lot of potential, but also really a lot of shown examples of how citizen science projects can increase not just knowledge, but also societal impact. Yeah, then of course the question is why would you use citizen science? And for you as an audience, I think it's very interesting to see how you can work together with your surrounding communities by implementing citizen science, how you can bring people together by starting activities that are for the benefit of all and well, potentially at least. Use citizen science for educational purposes, which is, I think, what a lot of museums, education centers, and visitor centers already do. But also citizen science can make the topic fun because you can explore and discover yourself instead of only being informed and educated. And in the end, everybody can then help to restore the river ecosystem, which is, I think, even if you might not consider it as important as of yet, while doing it, you find out how much value lies there. For us as a DANUBE4all project, we really believe that we can co-create and empower together with citizen science. And we can also collect data to help restore the river ecosystem. So with more knowledge, we can hopefully also understand better where we can improve, but also whether it is improving due to restoration measures. So if you go back to the DANUBE4all project, it would be good to have some context that we really aim to empower inhabitants, communities, and citizen science. It's not for nothing the name that we chose for this project, DANUBE4all. And we really want people to start not just being informed about the Danube, but really feeling part of the Danube Basin as one big Danube family, you could say. And that means that we want to look for inclusive action, public mobilization and engagement. And in that sense, go to a long-term management of restored ecosystems. The DANUBE4all project in the end will really try to aim to restore freshwater ecosystems in the Danube River. But of course, in 5 years, we won't be able to completely do that, but we will create a restoration action plan to continue forwards. So this would be the start of the restoration of the ecosystem in the end for the Danube River Basin. If you then go back to citizen science, there are quite some options and for actually implementing citizen science. So what am I thinking about when I am doing research with everyone? Well, for example, the first can be to take together measurements or make observations in the field to collect data in that sense about the environment. There's, at least in the water sector, still quite a gap of what we really know what is happening, but also in ecology, this is used a lot. So in the left picture, you can see children that are joining in taking measurements of the water quality of this canal in the Netherlands. This is a project from Drinkable Rivers, which is one of the projects that we will work with also in the DANUBE4all project. It's a program that really involves people to look towards improving the water quality of rivers to make them drinkable again if they are not yet. And to the right, you see a picture of my lovely intern who's taking, how do you say it? Who's literally taking a picture of one of the plant species in this area to make an observation in an app that's called Ops Identify, which is then recording this data on the location to know what type of species are there. This is a monitoring project as well, but then on observational style. If you then have another option, you have virtual annotations, transcriptions, validation, or analysis. So you can also help actually via your laptop or your, well, big screen in the museum, for example, also, or on your phone by joining in sort of games slash, yeah, how do you call it, virtual quizzes, where you can help, for example, defining whether there's a cropland in the red box. So you can help validate satellite data to be able to actually improve the results that we can use via satellite images. But also to the right, you can see how in an application you can help to define whether it is real maize that is actually on the picture or not. So to either validate or perhaps to define and analyze a specific pictures taken in any other method, for example, by drones. Am I the only one that's not seeing my presentation anymore?
We can see it, Sandra.
Oh,
That's
so
a point 3.
it suddenly disappeared. Yes, okay, good. Okay, thanks. Good. I want to go to the, well, not the final, but another example of options to do citizen science with is, for example, to install sensors. So this is one of the, well, perhaps most low profile ways of involving citizens to join in research is by actually using low cost sensors like this weather station on the left that is being used in Delft, a city near to where I live, or to the right, sensors that can measure temperature and humidity of the air. These are low-cost sensors installed, and people can online always see the results of what these sensors are measuring. But together they monitor on a very high-density scale these type of weather patterns or atmospheric patterns. And then you have, of course, the co-create design and even other options. You can really together realize projects, citizen science monitoring initiatives. For the left, for example, there was a group in Albania that wanted to develop citizen science monitoring projects to also improve the water quality of the rivers there. But also to the right, building your own tools to take measurements with kids or adults. It's a very nice way of increasing capacity, but also actually being able to then, with very simple material, take your own measurements. That one specifically was building a microplastic net to collect microplastics in rivers. Yeah, so as a museum or an education center or visitor center, what are your, well, these options that I gave you before are there. And again, I'm just emphasizing what has already been said by Gabriela and Eriberto. But yeah, museums are really an excellent way of forming a platform or act as a platform or convene for citizen science coordination, exhibitions, discussion, but also debate. And on the right, you can see an example of how museum literally, promotes citizen science as a whole. So not specifically one project, but really to join in as a citizen scientist, to join in science. But there are much more ways, and I would say much more concrete ways as well, to really help, for example, recruit, promote, and increase enthusiasm for joining specific research projects, so specific citizen science projects. Also implement a project together with visitors or with the surrounding community, for example, by taking measurements together in the neighborhood or just around, depending on what type of museum or center you are. You can help to bring stakeholders together and facilitate the start of and building of citizen science projects. You can also try to find out what is actually living among the visitors and communities, finding research questions that are relevant for that area, because local knowledge is also something that is actually can give really new insights. And in the end, also disseminate the results of citizen science projects. So, for example, the research that we are finding together, to also disseminate that again among visitors and audience and communities within the area. As a DANUBE4all team, we really envision that we can really collaborate, but also assist with that in the coming 4.5 years. Had to disseminate different citizen science measurement and observation events that we are going to do in the coming 4 years, and hopefully also together with you. We want to be able to be a direct contact with you and the DANUBE4all network of research institutes. So that's a very convenient connection that we can start growing in the coming years. We will assist in implementation, but also function as a help desk and more in case that you want to join us. And we can collaborate on topics that are of interest to your area in specific, because that's also something we really want to know. What is important in the Danube Basin area where you are placed? And finally, we can attempt to remove barriers for use of citizen science by museums, because we also realize that not all museums have the opportunity to spend a lot of time on these type of things. So we would like to look into that and see how we can help. Last but not least, the reason why we also really want to make this a Danube regional network is for this sustainability indeed, because the project, of course, even though it's a very long one, will have an end. And we hope by establishing it under the Global Water Museum Network that we can create a much more sustainable network that can continue, if they want, on this citizen science endeavors, but also, of course, the exhibitions and many other possible things that we might realize together. Of course, the network itself already has many potential, I think, for sharing best practices, cooperation. Would be very interesting to see the data collection along the whole Danube Basin to really start seeing differences from source to sea. And I believe in the end, it will also be easier to find funding as a big consortium. Well, thank you very much. Let's start making the DANUBE4all with you all. If there are any questions, please, I guess this is the moment, but we also still have 2 more questions for you, but maybe you first want to share your own questions.
Thank you, Sandra. Yes, we have another question for you, actually 2 more, and it's again on the same link, so the one in the chat. So please type in your browser again, poleu.com/GWPCEE, and we would like to know actually what topics would you like to do citizen science on. And here actually the multiple answer is possible, so you can select 1 or 2 or all. Can you see the survey or?
I can see the survey, but not the results yet on the Zoom.
Let's see. Ah, no, sorry, a second.
Take your time.
Yes, because I have created so many surveys that sometimes I activate the wrong one. Good. Now it should be, sorry. So the question is, would you be interested in joining citizen science project with your organization, Museum Visitors? And maybe you're not interested, maybe you're not, perhaps you're interested, and then they are, different options how you want to be interested. And as I said before, there are multiple answers are possible. You can select one or two, and I'll now start sharing the screen so we can see the results. Okay, great. Now it's working.
Perfect. Thank you, Lina.
So Sandra, this will be useful information for all of us, and especially for you.
Yes, yes, I'm very happy to see it. And it's, of course, as Gabriela already mentioned before, this is the first, how do you say, to get a first feeling of what people are considering, also what things that they would like to know more about, or what would they need from us. So it's a first indication for us to continue our work before we start thinking out everything and then realizing that we didn't do or include something that some people need. I see that Tigran has actually put up his hand. Maybe we can, in the meantime, give him the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. Do you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Tigran Kerian. I'm a postdoc researcher at the BOKU, University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences, Vienna. And currently, we are also just started a citizen science project for assessment of ecosystem services for water resource management. And the project is cooperation of Austrian and Armenian universities. And also, I would like to thank you for a very interesting presentation, Sandra. And my question, as you mentioned, you're going to apply some measurements and tools. I would like to ask you, which kind of tools are you going to apply, and which kind of data do you want to measure? And who will be, let's say, the potential target group who will be involved in citizen science project? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tigran. It's a very good question, but I think you caught me in a place that I cannot answer this. This is not because I haven't any ideas, but it's because I actually want to co-create this. There are two things that I want to focus on with citizen science. It's one is the data needs that we have within the project of the Danube4all itself. We're still trying to figure out where citizen science can really be of a good addition for the needs that we already have. So that's something that's work in progress. And what I hope to do is slowly fill you in with that information in the coming months. But the second option is actually to find out what the needs are in the specific communities that we're going to work with. So what is actually of interest for those communities to research? Because as I don't want to do everything top down. I actually want it to be of value, and I think the locals know much better what is, because not the whole Danube Basin has the same issues or the same research questions to be answered for. So that's actually why the second question that we have made on the survey is about the topics that people would like to work on. So maybe we can first continue on that one now.
Yes, Sandra, actually, I just wanted to make the same bridge. So again, in the same link, I hope now the question is correct. But yeah, I would like to ask you actually this very question. What do you think the citizen science should focus on? So what topics would you like to address through citizen science based on your interest? We're talking here about your interest, not our needs so much, but please join the link. And also here, just put in some keywords. You can answer 1 times, 5 times, 10 times. Just it would give us an overview of your perceptions, of your needs in the region, and the base for the work in the next phases.
Yeah. And while everybody's doing that, to continue on your question, Tigran, we do have some things that we know already for sure. As I already mentioned, the Drinkable Rivers program is something we really definitely want to see how to emphasize it. That means that we will hope to continue sharing the opportunity to join within the Drinkable Rivers program. So we're actually going to collaborate with a lot of existing citizen science programs already. And the Drinkable Rivers one is going to be, well, an example. The other one we really want to look at actually is microplastic and plastic pollution. We want to create events along the Danube to combine sports with citizen science. So to actually go supping, for example, or kayaking or canoeing or rafting on the Danube and collecting microplastic samples together with people. So this is something also work in progress, but that's definitely the plan. And yeah, I think we will probably look into how we can help establish things like the barriers that are actually in the Danube, the sediment transports. We will look at biota, but we're still defining which specific parameters we will follow here. So that's from the top to bottom kind of perception, and the rest is still to be followed and filled.
Thank you very much, Sandra. I'll be glad to keep in touch, and perhaps we have potential topics to collaborate. Thank you very much.
Thanks. So very curious, Primoz, if you can see what...
Yeah, I'll just share my screen. Wow, we have quite some inputs. The only problem with these words are when you have multiple words, it creates a separate inputs, but I think we can recognize here something about invasive species, water pollution monitoring, and different kind of activities. So including, we can see flooding here, non-human activities, youth. So yeah, the scope is quite wide, but I think it pretty much relates to the objectives of DANUBE4all project, which is great. And it gives us also the allowance to continue in the same direction. We have quite some time left. I think we don't have any more questions for you at this moment, but we will definitely come back shortly after the webinar with more questions and ask for your active collaboration. But if there are any questions for Sandra, for Gabriela, Helmut is also still with us, and Eriberto, I think, also still. So if you have any questions, please don't be shy, use the opportunity, and we are happy to address it. Otherwise, first of all, I would say thank you to all our speakers, Sandra, Gabriela, and Helmut, and Eriberto. Thank you very much for your inputs today. I think it was very, very interesting, very informative. I hope also for you that you got the first grip. Thank you, of course, also to all of you to participate today. As it was said before, we would definitely like you to go home with some core messages, and especially to use the momentum and to share this information in your networks. We heard that a lot of you are members of different networks that are cooperating in different projects with different organizations. So it would be very, very useful to start creating network and to join more and more people in the activities. But yeah, just to sum up some of the core messages I would like you to take home. First of all is DANUBE4all projects. As you know, this is the project we just start to implement. It's a Horizon project. It's a 5-year project, and it has an aim to design river restoration plan for the Danube River Basin. So we're talking about river restoration, we're talking about the river basin, and one of the objectives, a very core objective, is also to involve citizens, general public in these activities. The second message is related to this. So we heard today about the Water Museum network. It's an existing network, and we definitely would like to make something in this direction also in the Danube River Basin as an opportunity, as a networking opportunity, but also to ensure sustainability, to address the challenges in the Danube River Basin through this network by sharing different practices and ensure further cooperation. Third message is exhibitions and traveling exhibitions, as Gabriela said, as one of concrete implementation of these activities in the ground. We want to co-design together with you, also to implement things with concrete activities in different regions through different partners in the whole Danube River Basin. And the last message would be the citizen science as the tool, as the approach we want to take to involve citizens, to involve museums, to involve different organizations to participate in this process, and together with us co-create different activities with, again, final aim to co-design, ensure river restoration implementation measures in Danube River Basin. That's it from my side. If something else wants to be said, Sandra, Gabriela, Helmut, Eriberto, I'm happy to give a few words also to you.
Thank you, Primoz. I think we have Mate. Mate would like to tell us something.
Great.
From our...
Yes, thank you. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, yeah.
Okay, thanks. So about the last question at the poll, I maybe misunderstood it somehow, but it gave me an idea because I didn't write just a word, but I actually wrote a whole sentence about what I would be interested to do citizen science on. And maybe it would help if now that we have all these people from different organizations here to have this question answered as well. I don't know if Primoz, you maybe have a call for this, but to answer in a whole sentence for this question, that what kind of citizen science they would like to do in their own surroundings. For me, just to give you the idea, it was to do citizen science project on the relationships of citizens and rivers. What are the activities that they do on or next to the river? How it's changed during the years, and what are the limiting factors? How can these be quantified? So that was my interest, and maybe all of us here have something like this, but of course different, that they could share, and it could really start to get the ideas going, and maybe it would also help to come up with the idea what the Blue Danube traveling exhibition that was mentioned before could be facilitated upon. So that was just my comment.
Thank you, Mate. Mate here is actually representing one of our fellow Danube projects. Perhaps Mate, you can just say it a little bit.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. So I'm Mate. I'm from Hungary at the University of Győr, and I'm also participating in a Horizon project called Dahlia, which is kind of a sister project of Danube4all. And I'm representative of one of the pilot sites, the Szigetköz area in Hungary. So maybe in the future we will have more chance to collaborate with the two projects as well.
Thank you, Mate. Yes, just a first response. I think perhaps you could put your sentence in the comments, definitely your question. But the second is that I feel, but maybe I'm misinterpreting it, that's why I also would like to see it written, is that this is more actually a survey about the people in the Danube Basin, which is indeed something that we will also do, to be honest. We will try to find out all stakeholders and indeed this type of already active knowledge. There is also quite some knowledge already, quite some research has been done on this. So we would like to collate that as well. So yeah, it is, for me at least, less my intention to research the citizens themselves, but to research with the citizens, meaning that we create new knowledge, not the existing knowledge that they might already have. And so this is, of course, you're creating it, we're bringing it together, which is just, of course, creating new knowledge, but maybe you understand what I mean. Yeah, but I think Primoz, perhaps you can elaborate a little bit more on how we perhaps want to tackle this. You're muted, Primož.
Again, sorry. Now you can hear me. I actually shared with you also the link to our project website when you can follow all other activities, and we will not be doing just citizen science in the project. There will be a lot of other activities related to science, related to citizens, and related to citizen science. We'll have different promotion activities, and in a way we will also tackle what you mentioned, Matej. So, but yeah, the project just started, so really at this stage I would invite you to follow the website, to follow also, you can find us on LinkedIn, also on different social media, when we will post all relevant information. And we will definitely cooperate with DALIA project one way or another, in different ways. I think we need to cooperate. So Matej, thank you for being here today with us. When it comes to the citizen science topic, so the core we are talking about today, as the next stage, we will also we will make more detailed survey to ask about your interest in your inputs in the next month. So this will be shared not only with museums, not only with visitor centers, but basically all also educational organizations in the whole river basin. So you will be informed about this, and your role, apart from providing the inputs, is definitely also to share the whole information to help us reach to as many potentially interested stakeholders that can benefit from our activities, and also on the other hand contribute to the inputs. And yeah, we will, as a next step, create first the survey to ask much more detailed things than today, and to much more wider audience, and based on this then start implementing also concrete citizen science activities in the Danube River Basin.
Yeah, if I can just answer quickly, my idea was not really to think about what I put in the text or what my idea was, but thanks for answering that. But my idea was that everyone here in this webinar, or who's participating, could actually state what their interest is, and maybe you could benefit from that. So that was the main thing that I wanted to say, not my interest and to push that forward, but to give a chance for everyone here to communicate what they are interested in. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea, Matej. Thank you for explaining that a bit more. So yeah, please go ahead, everybody that is still in the meeting. If you have anything that you would like to share, what you think that we should collaborate on with you all, we of course now try to get some feeling with the survey, but please elaborate if you have any other wishes, ideas. I don't know, local contexts that we could take into account already immediately.
Otherwise, maybe Sandra and Gabriela, you can also share your emails in the chat already. We will come back to you with, as I said initially, with the recording, with the link to the all information, not only about today's webinar, but also especially about follow-up activities. But yeah, here also in the chat, you have our emails, and really whatever questions, suggestions, doubt, input you have, just contact us. In the next days or in the next years, we will be working on this for the next 4.5 years, definitely, and even beyond, hopefully together with you. But yes, from my side, that's it for today. I would really thank you again, all of you, to participate, and I'm sure that this is like the initiation of a very interesting and useful process we will together co-design in the next few years. Thanks a lot, and yeah, we keep in touch.
May I ask something? Sorry, before we finish.
Yes.
So maybe you will actually put all these information in the email that you would actually send us after the meeting. But I'm wondering, actually, will you? I mean, if we connect with the people who might be interesting to collaborate with us, do you want us just to link you with them and let them in something like look, this is the project, because we already informed them. But from now on, you will communicate with our representatives in working package 5, like you and Sandra, regarding the concrete actions that they would like to actually implement in their institutions, or we have to somehow interfere with in this further actions regarding the particular stakeholders that would like to be involved in Serbia. You understand me? So will we just make a link with you, or we have to interfere in that communication in the future? Just to clarify before I reach them.
We understand, Maria. Thank you. I don't know, Primoz, I think you also have an answer for this. In principle, yes, we can take over once we have the contacts of interested people. There is, however, something that I think we should think about is that perhaps the language barrier could be there. And I think that's one that it might be very important. So we will need to perhaps still do this together with you, but we will be in the lead. So I think you don't need to take initiative all the time. It's just that then we need perhaps your help to do this correctly and to do this in a pleasant way for the partners there.
Okay, thanks. Good.
Yeah, exactly, Sandra. I wanted to say that the same thing. So cooperation and help is needed, first of all, to really to reach to as wider network as possible, and as more as we can decentralize this, the easier it would be. And the second thing is the language barrier. So we don't want to focus only on English language. Most people speak it, but we don't want to exclude those who maybe don't feel so comfortable in English language. And then having support from regional local representative here would be very, very much helpful.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, I cannot see any more hands, or still some questions?
No, I don't see it. I see a lot of thank yous in the comments. So thank you very much as well, and hope to be in contact with everybody soon.
Okay, thank you from my side, and Sandra, I think you can stop
Thank you.
recording, and we keep in touch.